Speaking of warm, it will be warm tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall as number 2 Purdue comes in. Indiana does not have a signature win this year. And Purdue has shown that they are beatable as they were last year. And Indiana has won. Mike Woodson has won 3 out of 4 against him. He's the only guy who's beaten Purdue 3 times in the last few years.
Yeah,
this is a different Purdue team.
I think. Well, it is. It's a better team, but it's not that much different. It's deeper now, and they're more dynamic with Cameron Heide and Lance Jones being part of the mix. They're more dynamic than they were. So that they get more out of Trey Kaufman-Renn now than they got a year ago from backup bigs. But one of the things that I've noticed, I talked about this on Big Ten and Beyond on Saturday. One of the things that I've noticed with Purdue is that when there's a challenge, like something that everybody can see, like you're playing you're playing one of the top 10 teams in the country, like when they played Purdue at home, Illinois at home, or when they played in Maui and they had to go Gonzaga, Tennessee, and Marquette in 3 days. Like when there's something that for them to get serious about, they are the least touchable team in college basketball. But when the other team is looking at them as a sort of meal ticket, as their entry to March, then and for Purdue, it's like, oh, it's another game we got to play. That's been where the problem has arisen. It developed against Northwestern. It developed against Nebraska. Those teams looked at Purdue as, if we can get this win at home, we can get into March. And each of them cashed that. And now Indiana is in the same circumstance. They are out of my bracket. They are down around 90-something in the net. They need this much more than Purdue does. Purdue, would they like to win another Big Ten title? Sure, but I think there's an understanding among their players that they want to get to March in the best possible condition, because with the best possible seed, because that's what facilitates a successful trip through the tournament. But that another Big Ten title is not going to change their narrative. They've already got the ring for that. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for Final Four and beyond. And that means taking care of business every day. Certainly, you can't get there and succeed if you're not serious about what you're doing. And I think they certainly are. But then you encounter a circumstance where the game is just way bigger for the opposition than it is for you. And I wonder if does the fact that they were swept by Indiana last year and injecting the quote unquote revenge factor back into this rivalry, whether that brings Purdue's level of intensity up to the level of the opposition.
Absolutely. And we've seen Indiana do that sometimes, except for those have been a little further down. Unfortunately, they played down to the level of their competition early on in the season when they were getting by teams like Florida Gulf Coast and all of those.
Moorhead,
Moorhead, Army. We saw them just get by those teams, but then we saw them play with number 2 Kansas with a chance to beat them. Right. So which team shows up. They've had which team within the team situations with Xavier Johnson, his most recent transgression in the Maryland game. And I guess that with him not starting last week was a repercussion of that. But while that happened, the statistics would tell you Indiana had a better game with that situation, with him not starting and with him coming off of the bench. But that's again what I don't know where his mind is, if he's playing pissed off and unattentive, because I noticed that he wasn't the most engaged when he was on the bench with the team. and body language, that stuff, that matters. Because if I compare it to someone like Anthony Leal, this is a guy who doesn't get in a lot of minutes, but he's always engaged in the game, always knowing what's going on. He's calling out plays to his team. Hey, watch out for this. Hey, watch out for that. He considers that his job if he's not in the game. And when you're not engaged, I don't think you can just engage when they call your number and you have to go into the game. You either are engaged and ready or you're not. And I think that there's a huge difference there.
I don't understand why bother playing I believe this is his 6th year. Why bother if you're not going to be engaged? Do you think that's going to be the ticket to a contract in the NBA or some other professional basketball league? They know who you are by now. And if you are in the process of redefining who you are by reminding them that your final stages at Pitt didn't go well, that's certainly not going to go well for you at the professional level. They don't need to see how you handle the ball, how you shoot the ball, how you pass the ball, how you guard a guy. They don't need to see any of that. They have seen you for 5 years or 4 years and 1/3, whatever it is. They've seen you. So the only thing they need to see now professionally is for you to succeed. And I don't mean you personally. I mean you as a group. They need to see you as part of a highly successful group, because the most success that Indiana has had or that Pitt has had has been subsequent to his absence, or has been subsequent to his departure, whether it's permanent or temporary. Permanent in the case of Pitt, he leaves, and a year and a half later, they're in the NCAA tournament and winning 2 games, count the first 4. Or Indiana last year finishes a 4 seed after losing Xavier a third of the way through the season. So that doesn't look good for you if you're Xavier Johnson. So the only way you make it look good is if you come back and you get fully invested in the Hoosiers and you carry them to a level of success that they didn't enjoy without you while you were hurt. That's the only way. Otherwise, you're just totally wasting your time athletically. Now, what he's doing scholastically and all that, I have no idea. But from an athletic perspective, if he's going to get himself into circumstances like the Maryland game and he's going to get benched and then he's not going to play well, he's wasting his time. It just doesn't. There is no reward for that. There is only reward at this point for team success in his circumstance.
But that's also wasting the team's time and their success. It stunts them in a way.
Well, it does, but they have the remember, the coach controls the playing time, so they have the apparatus to correct that if they want. He has complete control of his comportment, how hard he plays, how intelligently he plays, how much he pays attention to his coaches, what they want from him, how engaged he is with his teammates. Is complete control of all those things. And it does not appear over the 3-4 games he's been back that he has used that control wisely.
Brian on the Andy Moore Honda hotline says he thinks that X starts tonight, hopefully under control. I don't know that he does. I really don't, but that's just a complete guessing game on my part of what Mike Woodson is going to do, what his mindset going into this game is. If he thinks that he's better with Xavier, which right now I don't know why he would think that. The numbers don't bear it out. The team's success does not bear it out. So I personally don't think he starts, even though Gabe Cupps gives you very little offensively, but he gives you consistency and he gives you good defense, which in this game, it might be enough because defending Purdue's guards is one of the big ways of beating Purdue. You're not going to stop, as Dan Patrick would always say, you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. You're not going to stop him. He's going to get his 30 and 12 or whatever. That's fine. You're not going to lose 30 to whatever. But Purdue has a wealth of talent around him now that has continued to get better, whether it's Trey Kaufman-Renn or Caleb First, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Jones, the three, and they're going with 3 guards who are all averaging in double figures, Mike. So that is where Indiana needs to put that's the basket their eggs need to be in, defending the perimeter against Purdue.
But in all honesty, Jim, they should be better with Xavier. They should be.
Absolutely.
He's their most dynamic guard. He's experienced. He's got 4 in the third years or whatever of experience. He should be and going on 5 and a third.
He's probably the quickest guard in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. He certainly has the length and strength and quickness that is rare at the position. He should be terrific. And he has been at times been that player. I think he was at the start of last year before he started to get injured. And I don't know whether being hurt and maybe he's playing hurt, trying to get back, is frustrating him. But again, he has control over his comportment and his engagement and his investment in the team. He has control over those elements and has not used that control wisely over the course of the first 3 or so games that he's been back from the injury. And this is not the night to get well, so to speak. I mean, this is not a night where you just say, okay, we're going to get everything under control because we're playing a weak team in our league. You're playing not only the best team in your league, you're playing the best team in the country. And the consequences of this result could be as simple as you win this game, you've got a shot to get into the tournament. You don't win this game, and it's going to continue to be a long road toward that level of success.